Welcome back to Pisces TV with Montana B. This is our Saturn return in Aquarius reading. For all of you that are new to the channel, it's something special, so welcome and congratulations, honey. This is not something that that the subscribers may be used to. And all of my returners, thank you for returning. I have a treat for you, okay? Some of you have mentioned having Saturn in Aquarius, and others of you could have just come to understand what a Saturn in return is. All right, this is something that is taking place in the collective. All right, so it does not affect, it does have an effect. Sorry about that. I was going to say it does not affect you personally, but it may. It's more about your environment, and then also looking into your natal chart, there could be some customizations there on how you're affected. All right, so as we get started, check the description box excuse me, for all of the information you may need. It's a lot there. If you have any questions, I know that the description box will answer it. And if it does not, the community board is the big mama of Pisces TV. So let's go ahead and get started. Don't have a long introduction. Excuse me. Let's go with Saturn. All right. Saturn, and we're also going to do tarot. Don't get me wrong, got them here. We're going to flip them out and talk. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the transit itself, where Saturn is typically the planet of challenge, authority, and responsibility. It is now in the revolutionary sign of Aquarius. So off top, with what I just said, the things that we have been seeing unfold in our capital says a lot, doesn't it? Where you would expect some things to happen in some places, and then this sense of authority and revolutionary sounds like some barriers being broken. The Aquarius energy, the water barrier. Okay, so there's something that started in December that crunk up a little bit this week, and will be in this energy until March 7th, 2023. All right. So, very interesting, which means that there's a lot that's going to change. Now, is it going to change for the better or for worse? I'm not sure. Okay. Now, what happens when Saturn goes into Aquarius? You may grow to understand your role in your family dynamics. Your family could be your immediate family, bloodline, co-workers, tribe, honey, neighborhood. You just know where you fit, okay? Now that could be a positive aspect, or it could be a little bit destructive and rebuilding, all right? You may also mend past issues with family members or create some healthy boundaries. You see that? Just depend on what side of the spectrum you're on, or what, we talk about these. What's a shift? What's a change in my timeline? Are you going to be on this side, or are you going to be on this side? Okay. Aquarius is an innovative sign, and it's all about science and progress. So that, that explains Tesla and moving forward to be the richest person on the planet. Okay. And how Tesla is advancing and now worth more than all car companies combined, as well as now in Texas, Western Rocket Fuel, trying to get to Mars, honey. I think between Tesla and the NASA, the United States, there's going to be some competition about who can, or I don't know. I don't see Tesla working with the government like that, but he could be an asset, because if I had to choose sides, I'm with him, but it's kind of like he gave a description on a talk show once about why he's so interested in Mars. And then I noticed that the United States, they're very interested in Mars. People all around the world are interested in Mars. And it's like, well, we can't even live on Mars, or can we? NASA is a little secretive. Tesla was very open about what it takes to make Mars livable. And when he gave that description, it sounded a lot like the revolution that could have started Earth. It doesn't have to be that, because I'm not a scientist. But if you are interested, I won't take it there, but if you're interested in knowing what he said, search for it. It may be, it may be interesting to you, but he talked about nuclear powers, weapons, or whatever. He said he's like, there's a short way and there's a quick way. And he said the quick way would be to nuke the poles. So that's the North Node and the South Node. And I mean, how long have we been going into nuclear wars and fighting over, weapons of mass destruction? There's a real interest in that. And then I was like, well, if it's really important on Earth, and that's how we got all the mountains and valleys, and that's why they say Colorado sits so high, because there was a nuclear reaction, at some point. Long story. So interesting that the Earth just went into North Node Gemini, South Node Sagittarius, and when this energy happened, I think it was September 11th, and a lot of fighting over oil and fuel and stuff, right? So now Tesla has his own rocket launching site in Texas where all the oil is, and our politicians seem a little bit distracted with the revolution. Okay, so that just tells you a lot about North Node, Sagittarius, and Aquarius energy, and so we'll keep moving forward. All right. So in addition to that, like I said, Saturn in Aquarius it seems, now I take it from a person who has Saturn in a much more interesting position. Okay, Saturn in Aquarius doesn't seem that bad. It just seems like where we're going to have this shift in, like, I don't want to say leisure, but there's something about spirituality, and then there's something about power and authority, and it's like the power and authority is in the sign of revolution. So I think if there were any greater time to shift, I think Saturn in Aquarius, this day and age, with the North Node and the South Node where it is, it could change a great deal. Okay, so if you want to know like how it could affect you personally, just take all of that information and then fit it into your day-to-day life, like how you are. Okay, think about the Chiron Aries, what we've talked about, some of the less spiritual people having awakenings, and kind of, I don't want to say suffering from, but maybe seeing the consequences of not living in their soul energy, or something that isn't practical, right? And then we have the lovers learning to be more practical, their priorities and stuff like that. So it's like Saturn, and it's like this wheel of fortune, honey. Everything's kind of linking up to shift everybody, right? Because if you were one way, you get wake up calls this way, and if you were the other way, you kind of get wake up calls this way. And then, like I said, the most revolutionary thing is just the authorities and the lobbyists, where that fits for you. Now, the Aquarius energy for me talks about freedom and rebellion, and I know that from the Aquarius moon. Okay, but some of you guys could feel these effects stronger, in your spiritual relationship or personal lives. Just depend. All right. So a Saturn return, for those of you that don't know what that is a walk through Saturn where it returns to where it originally was at your birth. The ages are flexible, but it talks about 29, 58, and 87. Okay, the first Saturn return is arguably the most challenging. Now, I would argue with that a little bit, because depending on the work you've done on yourself and also the karma that you could have made for yourself, that is what makes a Saturn return more or less challenging. So some people that aren't into spirituality call it a midlife crisis, but I found at a young age that the midlife crisis had a more realistic thing, and I found out what a Saturn return is right before mine, right? So it's a time, for lack of better words, things are really going to get real. Okay, the 20s are the time to have fun, to experiment, and to try different visions and dreams. It's a natural extension of childhood. And then here comes Saturn to kind of start shifting things from that aspect into the rest of your life. So for everyone, Saturn returns reminds us that what we do today has a long-term consequence. It's time when 5 to 10 years planning from now into our lives. So it's kind of like where adulthood could hit you. And some people say midlife crisis, where like you may think you're getting old and then you start acting really young, or you've already matured and then you double down into responsibilities. Okay, we start making plans for the future possibly, or look for serious partners, may start making commitments. And so Venus and I think Capricorn right now is about that commitment. You see what I'm saying? So you guys have a lot more positive influences in this Saturn Aquarius return than, like I said, a lot more people may have had in some time. Now, overwhelming sense of responsibility is not what we want, because this is like nervous tension. Or are you finished? Don't do that. This is like nervous tension or fear around responsibilities. You may be having revelations, wanting things to get in perspective, and then like finding that they aren't, not wanting to judge yourself too hard. And this happens for the collective, but those with you that have Saturn in Aquarius may feel this stronger. The good news, Saturn in Aquarius is one of the most exciting placements for Saturn. Aquarius asks us to break the mold. And so for those of you with this energy, informing your personality, mundane tasks take a different turn. So commitments take a different shape, and so do responsibilities. You even view time as a different format. So look at that time shift, time travelers, time, something about that wheel turning. Perhaps not feeling constrained by it, and instead ready to make it work for you. That's good. I like that, because growing up, I always said time was like an illusion. And I know so many people, especially if you're approaching like this midlife kind of thing, could feel like time is running out. But with Saturn in Aquarius, I don't think you feel that way. You learn to kind of have fun with it, okay? Faith in humanity may be restored. Faith that people will do the right thing may be restored. And the faith that it's all part of a bigger plan is going to be the overall message that I feel Saturn and Aquarius energy is going to send us, okay? So now I'm going to shuffle a few cards, and we are going to just keep it simple. We'll do the energy, the current situation. We'll do the most challenging aspect, and we'll do the outcome and advice. So we know that the current situation is the Saturn in Aquarius, and we have, the 10 of Wands. We have the Knight of Coins. And our advice or outcome, for some of you, there's an inheritance or a gift being given. And then for others of us, it's like a finality. So Judgment, 4 of Coins, still holds the same energy. When it says something may go in your favor, others of you, it could be discernment and something that we need to pay attention to. All right, so one moment. Come on, don't get your hands in your face, buddy. Come on.
This is scary.
I didn't mean to. Rub them together. Okay. Catch up all on everything. Chords. Okay. The 10 of Wands could talk about completion and high honor. All right. Where we have went through the beginning to the end and we meet a new beginning. I like that. Packing up, moving on. For some of you, this could be your location. Others of you, this could be burdens. This could be cords, because Saturn is karmic. All right. The Knight of Coins represents discipline, patience, Slow and steady wins the race. Paying attention to details. And also commitment. So your commitments and the load that you carry. So remember in the reading we said to not be overwhelmed with responsibility, but if this is like hitting you in the face, it could seem a bit overwhelming. Okay, I do appreciate the Knight of Coins here, where it's like Source helps us with the baggage. Okay, it kind of helps us pack up and move on, because we talk about the poles, and we talked about Colorado and the spirit of the earth, and some of the stories behind that. And then here we have Judgment, where, like I said, your discernment. And I think something that needs to be paid attention to, and I know if you watch a lot of YouTube videos, there has been so many videos that says don't miss the sign, watch out for the sign, especially if we're kind of doing too much, or if we are moving forward, traveling, doing it all. It's like you don't want to miss this sign. You have to be still to see it, to get it. And for some of you, that Four of Coins is an inheritance and something that may help. Others of you, this is like coming out of the cold and finding your tribe, where these people from the past, that doesn't have to be those karmic issues, resurfacing. These are just like soul tribes coming together, and the collective, right? The Judgment card, like on a religious standpoint, could sometimes talk about, revelation. So someone could be having revelations, and we talked about that in Venus, where people that may see how I said it's flip-flop. And remember when they said the runner will be the chaser will be the runner, or if you're a religious person, it goes the first will come last, the last will come first. The spiritual people are getting more serious, the serious people are understanding more about spirituality. Balance is happening, Pisces. So I'll leave it there. If you are curious to know more about your Saturn return or Saturn in Aquarius, contact me directly. Until next time, namaste.